What's up, guys? This is Coach Vassar here with the Audio Daily Beats. If you're new to these, I'm going to ramble a little bit about the OTF workouts. Any support, if you find value in this, information's in the description. Appreciate you if you do that. Not, no problem. Just keep listening and I'll keep getting better as I get more feedback. This one's going to be about Sunday, September 8th. This is also going to repeat on Tuesday, September 24th. We're going to see endurance on the treads, endurance on the row, and power on the weight floor. This was a workout that they did mention in the September rollout webinar. So if you have not watched that, you should definitely watch that. This is one that they mentioned that it is a member choice, row more or lift more. We'll kind of give you an overview and then break down treads, row or weight floor, and then any differences in the 3G. So key concepts today for the treads, we're gonna see 2 blocks. One block is 20 minutes, 30 seconds as you fight fatigue between push and base, then a quick block to finish with 2 bonus all outs. Rower and weight floor, you get to choose to row more or lift more. If you choose to row, you'll repeat 500 meters on that rower every round. If you choose to lift more, the row will decrease every round. And then for the floor, if you lift more, the reps will stay at 12 reps. If you choose to row more, the reps will decrease. So something's going down no matter what. As far as setup goes, you're gonna need dumbbells and straps. You don't need benches out, but benches might be helpful to have for some movements when it comes to any options. So as we look at the treads, we're gonna see a reverse pyramid push with fixed bases, 20 minutes, 30 seconds in block 1, and then a short 2.5 minute block in block 2. We're gonna see 8 push efforts. The pushes are pyramid style. They start longer, they'll get shorter, and then they get longer again. We'll start with the longest push, increase the intensity as they get shorter, and then hold that intensity as they get longer again. Bases will stay the same no matter what. And for today, because the priority is to maintain push as it gets longer, it is okay to lower base intensity if needed to recover. Since it's your active recovery, we should want to be able to catch your breath. And then they will finish this block with a long push into a walk recovery for just 45 seconds. So as we look more into details, they'll start with a 2-minute push, 90-second base. Push will decrease by 30 every round. So 2 minutes, and then 90 seconds, a minute, 30 seconds. And then they repeat that 30 and work their way back up. As said before, 90-second base in between every round. If they start conservative, they recommend 5% or greater for power walkers. I would put joggers and runners right around 1 over their base. And then every time they go back to their push, tack on somewhere between 0.1 to 0.3 on that speed. Power walkers, they could add incline. They just list the standard incline recommendations here. So 5% for the 2-minute, and then for the 90-second push, they say 5% or greater, 1 minute 6, 30 seconds 8. And then even though it decreases on the template, remember they're trying to maintain, so can they hold that same incline? Or if they maybe increase their speed, can they hold their speed as they adjust their inclines? When you look at physical response in this one, the first 2-3 rounds, those pushes as they get more aggressive, obviously heart rate will trend up quicker. First push, if they start conservative, they'll probably dip into that orange, probably within the back half of that 2 minutes. So when they're about 45 seconds to about 30 seconds left, they might dip into that orange. It'll kind of carry over in that first base, but 90 seconds is plenty of time to find recovery after a conservative push. So they may get back to that green pretty quick, but then as they try to bump it up, they'll dip in a little bit sooner and sooner. So they'll see a kind of a gradual ebb and flow. And then eventually, once they hit that 30-second push, 90 base, then from that point, that push, because it gets longer, the heart rate will trend quicker higher as they maintain that more intense one with those longer efforts. And they might not be able to recover as well during their base. So once again, that's why they recommend scale back on the base. They'll get a 45 walk recovery, and then they go into block 2, which is a 45-second all out, 1-minute walk recovery, and then another all out. And the goal is to increase intensity on the second all out. So bump up the speed, bump up the incline, and really light it up and finish strong. For bikes and striders, you could probably do the idea of, hey, start at 2 to 3 gears over base for your push, add a gear each time. So for that 30-second push, they're probably 5 gears over base, and then hold that for the rest of block 1, and then adjust base gears as needed to make sure they can recover, making sure RPMs, of course, stay over 60, under 100. They got to get out of the saddle for the push, great. Find that recovery during their base. And then for the all-outs, 6 gears over base, if not more, and increase watts. Maybe that's more gear or higher RPM with the same gear. Either way, the intensity is going to bump up on that second all-out. Lots of threshold work for this one, physically as well as mentally, especially holding a 30-second push for 90 seconds for 2 minutes. That's tough. And so that's where you as a coach will definitely come into play to give those words of encouragement. So you don't really need to talk much during the first half of that block, but that second half is really opportunity for you to either, off mic coaching, getting up to there, getting behind them, getting next to them, encouraging them, or over the mic if everyone's struggling. When we look at the floor, block 1 is a very long block with a lot of exercises. There's going to be 6 movements. If they choose to lift more, they'll do everything at 12 reps. If they choose to row more, the reps will decrease by 2. The row is 500 meters. And if they choose to row more, then as the reps go down, the row stays the same. If they keep the reps the same at 12, so they're lifting more, their row is going to decrease by 100 meters. The goal is to get through 4 rounds of their 6 movements and their row. Once they complete 4 rounds, then they're just going to do the exercises at 8 reps each. We have reverse grip, low row, floor, power push-up, goblet alternating lateral lunge, the hip hinge swing, squat to Y raise, high pull with power. As you look at these movements, you'll notice that the 2nd, 4th, and 6th movement is about power, and then the 1st, 3rd, and 5th one, a little bit more about, controlled movement patterns, so more towards that endurance strength side, depending on rep range and weight choice. The goal for the floor itself is to focus on tempo changes. So definitely slow and controlled on 1st, 3rd, and 5th, explosive on the 2nd, 4th, and 6th movement. For the row, they want to maintain push intensity. So even as the row gets shorter, can they keep that same intensity because they're going to fatigue out from lifting heavier. As far as the setup, they recommend full setup for reverse grip low row, the lateral lunge, hip hinge swing, and the high pull with power, partial setup for the floor power push-up and the strap Y raise. Options, you could do strap reverse grip low row for the push-up. Instead of a power push-up, you could do a tempo-based one or push-ups from the knees. For the goblet alternating lateral lunge, you could do a lateral shift so their feet don't move. You could also do, lateral step-ups, but split it in half, do 6 on one side, 6 on the other. Hip hinge swing, you could do sumo deadlifts, but you could also do tempo deadlifts to keep that tempo change important there. Squat to Y raise, you could do a strap high row. For the high pull with power, you could do an upright row or prioritize the hinge mechanic, and you could do like a dumbbell bridge or even like a good morning with explosive tempo. There will be an overview slide that highlights the choice, so just be aware of that. And so you could bring that to life for the members by engaging with them, whether that's like, hey, who's gonna lift more? Who's gonna row more? Et cetera, et cetera. For the rower itself, if they choose to row more, hitting that 500 meter push row, using store programs is gonna be great, and draw attention to the split time. Because once again, that's how long it's gonna take them to finish. And if they're looking to maintain that, can they be consistent with that split time? Leg drive should be a nice solid 6 or 7 out of 10. 500 meters, I would probably have a stroke rate somewhere around 26 to 28, because of course most people are going to take about about a minute 30 to about 2 minutes. So a very high stroke rate of 30 plus, definitely not sustainable for a 500-meter row, at least as a push. All out, different story, but we're not doing that. It's just about keeping at that push. If they choose to decrease the row, so they're lifting more, then what we want to see is split time stay the same, because obviously they're going to finish quicker with the shorter distances. But by maintaining split time, the intensity is going to stay the same. And that's a good way to kind of have that off mic cue in with people of, bringing attention to that on their OT Connect screen if you have that, or of course on the S4 monitors if you still don't have the tablets. Once you finish that, you have 45 seconds to do the setup for block 2. They're gonna have 2 movements, 8 reps for the first one, 16 for the second one, and the goal is to complete 3 rounds and then hold a low plank for the time remaining. And their goal and their finisher is to get to that low plank before time is called. You're gonna see the high plank, low plank for 8 total reps. Option there is to perform from the knees, bodyweight crunch, bicycle crunch. You could do bird dogs. You could also do crunches if people want to focus on that instead. And then for the low plank, you could perform it from the knees, but also keep in mind members could rest as needed if they make it to there. For the high plank, low plank, I like to set this one up by using that kneel pad as a visual cue for people. I'm a big fan of using that pad for a lot of different ways in class. But with the high plank, low plank, place the pad down and start with your elbows on the pad. And then when you go into your high plank, place your palms on the pad so they see you have to shift your hands from here to here to press up. Because what I've seen is a lot of people is they'll be here and then they'll just press with their arm out, well then there's going to be no support underneath the shoulder. So by having that hand as a target to place their hand there on the mat, press up, and then the hands will come back out. And then the other thing too is if they don't use the mat for that, grab their mat, place it on their hips, and that way it brings attention to what their hips are doing. If they're keeping their hips stable or if their hips are shifting quite a bit as they go up and down. Since the idea here is spinal alignment and midline stability and engagement, we want to try to keep those hips as stable as we can as they go up and down, rather than seeing those hips shift left and right as they go up and down. It's definitely going to light up their midline, trying to get through 3 rounds and hold that plank. So yeah, that's going to be a good one for people who complain about we don't do enough core. There you go. There you got 2.5 minutes. Have fun with it. When we look at the 3G for this one, a little bit more unique in the sense that the treadmill is going to be very similar as before, but instead of starting out at 2 minutes, we're going to see, where is it? I think it was 90 seconds. And then the base in between is just 1 minute. Same idea though. So as the push decreases, can they increase their speed? Where did it go? There we go. Yeah, so 90 push, 1 minute base. Work their way just like before. We're gonna see a total of 6 rounds. 90, 1 minute, 30, 30, 1 minute, 90. For the push, 1 minute bases in between. They'll have a 75-second walk recovery, and then block 2 is the exact same thing. So 45 all out, 1 minute walk recovery, 45-second all out. Same recommendations as a 2G. I would not necessarily start more aggressive with that shorter push because once again, the recovery is shorter. So still start conservative, be able to increase it and then maintain it. For the rower, we're gonna see an endurance row in block 1, and they're gonna do back-to-backs of a 600-meter row and then a med ball squat to front raise for 15 reps. And then they're gonna do 3 rounds where they decrease the row by 400 meters. The goal is to choose your own intensity and make it to the bonus. They have 11 minutes to make that happen. 600-meter row, that's gonna be about like a minute 45 to maybe 2.5, 2:45 to finish. Squat to front raise, that's gonna be a nice solid, 30 to 45 seconds to complete plus transition. So that first round could take about 3-ish, 3.5 minutes. Round two, you got 400 meters here. So it's gonna probably be another 90-ish seconds, and then the squat front raise, so 2.5. So they'll probably sit in right around 7 to 8 minutes there. So being able to get to three rounds, definitely doable for a majority of people, and then be able to get to that bonus. And then their block 2 on the rower, timed with the treads, all outs, walk recovery, a row recovery, and then another 45 all out. Same thing as the treadmills, is the goal is to increase the intensity on that second all out. On the 3G, since you cannot use the rowers for the weight floor, instead of lift more, row more, it's gonna be a member choice takeaway. So they'll see the same 6 exercises. Round 1, they'll do all 6. Round 2, they pick 5. And then round 3, pick 4, pick 3. And then for the 5th round, it's the bonus. They'll do all the movements again. There's also only 10 reps for everything. Same movements, same options, all that fun stuff. Call out on this one when it comes to these takeaways. If they get rid of a movement, they could always bring it back. They don't have to get rid of it and never do it again. So maybe in that first block, after they've done everything, they realize they really didn't like that power push-up, they get rid of it. They'll do everything else for round 2. But in round 3, maybe they are not feeling that squat to Y raise or that high pull with power. So they'll do the power push-up to bring it back, and then do the other 3 movements that they still have. Second block, same block as on the 2G, so high plank, low plank for 8, bicycle crunch for 16, complete 3 rounds. Get to that bonus before the time is called. Lots of movement here on the treads, rower, and the weight floor for the 3G, so definitely going to help keep you as a coach moving throughout the room. With those 600-meter rows and a 90-second push, there's plenty of time to kind of get some hands-on attention on the rowers, getting them set up for success when it comes to form and order, leg drive, correlation to their split time. So try to get some off-mic coach in there, and keep your eye on the weight floor as well. Since they start out with that reverse grip low row and that power push-up, relatively basic movement patterns before it gets to the more complicated stuff like the hip hinge swing, high pull with power. So kind of glance over there, make sure everyone is still safe during the first 90 seconds of the block. And then once the treads kind of get to base on that first one and then that 1-minute push, you might want to pay attention to the weight floor as people start to hit that hip hinge swing and that high pull of power to make sure that they are not compromising spinal stability or safety. As always, any feedback, appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in, listening to me ramble about this. As always, if you find value in it, information's below in the comments. Don't have to, but I appreciate it if you do. That's all I got. You guys have a great one. Coach it all down.